welcome back to another episode. Today I'm gonna pretty much finish the rest of the engine. So I'm going to put on the new or the other valve covers I want to use, the back of the part of the engine here, the knock sensors here, and also on the front of the engine. So that's pretty much what I have today. What I want to do with this engine before I can go back in. I'm gonna go ahead and start on the back here real quick. So I'm gonna transition some of my old stuff over to the new engine. So first I'm gonna go ahead and remove the SAI block plates that go here and here. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that. And after that, I got myself some new cam positioning sensors. So these will be replaced. Both block off plates are installed. When looking at the cam positioning sensors, so one looks like the shape of an L, while the other one is like a straight line, like an I for using letters. So the one with the L that looks like an L goes on the driver's side, and the one that looks like an I goes here in the passenger side. Almost forgot to say, so both of these sensors do have an O-ring right here, so go ahead and get some clean oil and lube up the O-ring and then go ahead and insert it. And that's it. That's the new cam positioning sensors. As always, I'll just say it again, remember, driver's side gets the L shape, passenger side just gets the straight one. Next, I'm going to go ahead and install the relocation housing for the oil filter. So out of the factory, the oil filter housing sits right around here. But with the VF kit, with the supercharger, there's a conflict because it's kind of bulky, the supercharger, so they relocate the oil filters to sit a little bit more towards the back so that there's enough clearance for the supercharger to sit here. Here is the relocation bracket. So it's going to go like this, so you can kind of see how it makes the oil filter housing sit a little bit backwards. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and install this and then the oil filter housing. Before I go on, you'll need two of the O-rings because there's one that goes here and then the second one goes right here. And here's what the relocation plate looks like. Pretty straightforward, just these two screws right here and these two right here. Here's the oil filter housing. So here's what that relocation kit. So this is how it looks like, so you can see how it's off to a bit. It's raised a little bit and off to my left right here. I'm gonna go ahead now and install the new valve covers. I mean, not new valve covers, but my old valve covers. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these. I'll just remove one at a time and then I'll move on to the next one. And then I'll show you the pattern on how to torque these, and also an extra step to give yourself like a better seal so that you don't get, like, oil coming out from the sides. And I'm sure if you've seen pictures of these with the engines out, it's just cake. There's, especially here in the front, all of this right here just cake battered in dry oil. So I'm gonna show you guys a way to prevent from that happening. So this one doesn't say it, but this is the passenger side, and with the passenger side it'll still have the same number, but instead of it being a C, it'll have a B. So a B will be for the passenger side and the C will be for the driver's side. Alright, so the gasket's installed, and so are the four ones in here. So these you'll have to use a mallet to press these in, and then you'll have four of these. Right now I just have two right here, but two of these. So two of them will go right here, and these are your little blue half moon circles here. So one will go right here, here, and then the other two will go back here, so right here and right here. The extra step that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead and put gasket RTV all throughout right here, so that it'll be up against this. This is what I'm using. It's the Permatex Ultra Gray gasket maker. Here is the number, and putting it all throughout here, and I'll take the outside circle. So I'll be putting it on the outside, not the inside, but the outside of the circle throughout. I'm also going to put right here, so it'll sit like this, and also on top as well. This is what I mean by putting that RTV gasket. So it's around the corners. This really doesn't need it to be right here. It needs it just on the outside borders. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, so now I can go ahead and put it on the heads. And I already put in the half moons already with the RTV. You can see it's a little oozing out right there. So here is the sequence on how to tighten the valve covers. Now I'll actually do a screenshot and I'll post it up here, and you can pause at it and then look at it with how it works, just to summarize it. So this is your one. So you can do 1, 2, 3, and then you can start at 4, 5, and you kind of start working your way out of towards the ends of the valve covers when it comes to torquing this. Next is the knock sensors. So there's 2 on each side, and on the passenger side the 2 are pretty far apart, and on the driver's side the 2 are pretty close together. Here they are installed, and this is what they look like. So I know I've talked about this before, about the headers and the clearance issues and whatnot, and which needs to be installed first. Well, I'm gonna have to backtrack now for the headers to be installed. So I just wanted to test fit the headers to see if I'm okay with what I have installed or if I need to remove anything. And I'm having clearance issues with the AC compressor. So the AC compressor is in the way of the headers because of this. Try to get this right here. So right here, this right here is having clearance issues with this part right here of the AC compressor. So I'm gonna try to hold the camera in one hand and do this with the other hand to give a better visualization. So I'm able to, because I just want to test this. I still have the tape covering it, but I just want to, like I said, I want to test fit. Try and do this best with one hand and see if the camera, so if you can see, just like, I mean, like a couple millimeters off, that I don't have clearance to that. And this is just the driver's side, because I know, and I couldn't remember what needs to be removed first, but now I know that the AC compressor on the driver's side, so I need to take a mental note, needs to be installed towards the last, and then the headers first, and then the AC compressor so far. So I know that one of these bolts right here is going to also have clearance issues, so I think I guess I'll figure it out when I get there. And again, then I'm sure the passenger side is also going to have some clearance issues and what needs to be installed first. So for right now, I just want to deal with the driver's side first, and then I'll move on to the passenger side. And I don't have everything bolted on right now, so it's going to be the headers first, because on top here I can access all the, you know, the screws, which are these guys right here, have access as is right now. But the bottom ones, if you can kind of see, you know, around here with the AC compressor on and the engine mount on, getting to these, you know, here are going to be very, very problematic to get to. So the way that has to be done is the AC compressor has to be removed off, and then the engine mount has to be removed off. So I went ahead and removed everything right now. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape, install the gasket, now install the headers, torque that into spec, and then we'll go back and install the AC compressor and then the side engine mount. Alright, so I'm finally done with the driver's side when it comes to installing the headers and all that stuff, with the exception of the dipstick housing. I'm gonna wait until I can install this on all throughout, but for right now everything's good. I got every bolt in, so every bolt on the header is torqued to spec. Then I went ahead and installed the AC compressor. The AC compressor is back connected to the rod right there, and the engine mounts I was able to connect, bolt on all the engine mounts, and I was able to do it to spec. You know, this thing is a lifesaver, so I'll definitely recommend this tool right here. of this guy right here. So I'm able to have access. So I'm not able to, not a good enough angle to have it through here. And there's two solutions that can be done. One, you can get a 8mm Allen key and then cut this like really short, so enough so you can go ahead and have room to do it this way. Or if you have this, you can approach it from the bottom. So so you can see right there. So this fits in perfectly in here, so I can have access down here, so I can go ahead and say, you know, have an extension and then go ahead and loosen it, and you can see that, you know, I'm turning it right now. So that is the solution, I think. If you haven't gotten one yet, especially if you're working with Audis or Volkswagens. So for right now, I'm gonna call it a night. I have work tomorrow in the morning, so I have to get up early for that. And then whenever I get some free time, go ahead and do the passenger side. And this is where I'm gonna end it for today. Alright, so I'm just gonna save you guys the headache. And I pretty much had to do the same thing on the passenger side. So I had to go ahead and remove the alternator and the engine mount in order for the headers to fit in. So once that was in, I installed the alternator back on, the engine mount, and then again I was able to have access to that bolt and then the bottom bolt that's down here. But this third one right here, again, this thing came in handy. So if you do have the JHM version 2 headers, I definitely recommend having this, because when the time comes, say later down the road, I hope I don't have to do this anytime soon, because that is a kind of fairly new starter. You know, if I have to switch that out, I need to remove that engine mount in order to wiggle the starter out. And if I'm on the other side, if the AC compressor goes out or whatever, or the power steering pump, you know, I have to remove the engine mount, and this will definitely come in handy, especially since I have the headers. But if you have just the stock OEM headers, that's not an issue, because you'll have access to those 3 bolts on the engine mount to remove easily. Here's the front part of the engine. So I have the JHM light wheel crank pulley. So this is part of the VF kit. It comes with an auto tensioner by VF Engineering, and then the idle pulley right here. I have a last minute change when it comes to the headers. So with the headers, you know, they produce a lot of heat, and that, you know, puts heat in the engine bay. With one of the things I want to do with the cooling, I am gonna eventually put vents on the hood, but that will be like towards the very end, because I just kind of want to get this car, you know, up and running, and then once it's all running, then I'll put the vents on the hood. But right now, to help minimize the heat, you know, I was thinking of maybe doing heat wrap or exhaust wrap on the headers. So right now the headers, they are ceramic coated professionally, so that ceramic coat helps them reduce the heat. And to go the extra step to do more heat reduction, if that's the correct phrase, I wanted to do the heat exhaust wrap. But I was going back and forth if I wanted to do that or not. But then Alex at AM Tune came up with a pretty sweet, amazing idea with the build that he's doing. So what he did is he actually used this exhaust wrap. So this is a 1/2 inch thick, and so pretty much I'm just gonna wrap it around the headers. Now it may or may not come out looking pretty, but I want to see. I think with what I just got, which actually came in the mail today, I'm gonna give it a shot and just go all in and do, because that's gonna do way better heat reduction than just the heat wrap itself. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to cut this, and I do have stainless steel zip ties to go ahead and wrap it around. So I have no idea. I know it sounds bad, right? I really don't have any idea how I'm gonna wrap this or how I'm gonna cut this big old giant roll and, you know, make it look as pretty as I can, but yeah, so let's see how it looks. So I'm only gonna say this once. It may not be the best looking thing, but as long as it works, that's what really matters. So here it is. So here, that's the passenger side and the driver's side. So, like I said, as long as this helps reduce the heat in the engine bay, that's all I really care for. And since you really can't see the headers when it's in the car, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Like I said, it may not be the most beautiful looking thing, but as long as it works. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and install the coolant pipe that goes around the engine. So I'm gonna change out the temp sensor. So here's the new little temp sensor. These are these two black ones are the two O-rings that go right here and there. Alright, so the coolant pipe is now installed. And then you have these two screws right here and right here. You have these two screws right here. And also right here and here, and on this side there's a screw right over here and a screw right here. That is all for this episode. Pretty much it's almost like 95% done. All that needs to be done is go ahead and insert put in the spark plugs, the coil packs, put in the wire harness, and I'll be doing that in the next episode. And then go ahead and clean up the transmission area, put in the new throwout bearing, the new the crank sensor that I purchased, and that's pretty much it. Then in the next episode, I'm gonna go ahead and install the engine back onto the car. So that is finally a good thing, the moment that I've been waiting for. Very excited with the progress that I've been making so far. So I'm going to end it here. So I hope these videos have been, as always, educational. If you're not familiar with this platform, you know where things are and whatnot. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a good one.